You are with Nation Now with us, my colleague Avni taking us through the headlines. I'm Seher Zama. Let's make a start by getting you the latest figures now that have just come in from the Health Ministry. The picture that we're getting is grim because we're looking at a huge number of positive cases reported in the past 24 hours. We are looking at 131 new cases reported. This has taken the final tally, total positive cases so far, to 1,965. Unfortunately, the death toll has gone up to 50 as well. The larger concern here also being as far as our frontline warriors, our doctors, nurses, paramedics who are fighting this battle and not just treating coronavirus positive patients here, but also being exposed to the virus. These are breaking inputs coming in, and remember, these are official figures now. Official sources saying that to date, around 50 doctors, medical staff have been found positive. Remember, this is coming in a very, very worrisome note. It is our doctors and medical practitioners here who are serving us best at this grim point of time. Our correspondent Ayushman getting us those inputs here. Ayushman, since we're looking at a number of 50 doctors and medical staff reported positive. Remember, this is at a time when we need all hands on desk. Each doctor, the presence of each doctor counts as much. Each of these individual cases, are there also investigations on how they got exposed to the virus? Were they not having proper safety gear?
Well, sir, as far as we know, in the national capital, we have seen 7 of the doctors getting contracted cases, and at the same time, we have been told by the Health Ministry today that across the country, around 50 medical health workers are the ones that includes the doctors, nurses, and other medical staff involved in the hospitals are the ones who have contracted this disease. Definitely, these are the ones who some of them do have a foreign travel history, but many of them don't have that. And at the same time, they have been kept in isolation, and the treatment is on. Currently, the number that we have got from the Health Ministry is around 50 of the doctors and nurses and health staff are the ones who have tested positive for coronavirus. This comes at a time when we have seen the total number of cases in India going up to 1965, and around 1764 is the number which is the active case right now, sir. We have seen the death figure going up to 50. And also, most importantly, sir, we have seen around 8 weeks in India. It took 8 weeks to reach to the 1,000 figure, but between 1,000 to 2,000, it only took 4 days. So definitely on the account of for the health workers, since we have been talking about them, around 50 people, 50 doctors, nurses, and health staff are there who have been tested positive of coronavirus.
This is undoubtedly on a very worrisome note, and Ayushman, as you explained, a sudden rise. This is along expected lines. Despite all our best efforts here, this is how the coronavirus curve spikes. Irrespective of those efforts made to flatten the curve, but still, compared to other nations, of course, the trickling in the rise of numbers has been kept at a slow pace, managed to remain slow in India. But with 50 doctors now out of action, there needs to be investigation, and questions would be asked as well on how they got exposed. Remember, there have been certain reports and complaints that have come in from doctors as well, and they're complaining about substandard protective gear that they've been provided, if at all. Many, of course, have said that they have no such gear provided. But it is also an unfortunate scenario of our doctors being attacked as well. A few headstrong people not getting the message as far as COVID patients are concerned as well. Many who've been kept in isolation are venting out their anger on the doctors, those very same doctors that are serving them. Multiple cases here emerging. Let's get you the first case in point. This is coming in Delhi, where doctors have been misbehaved with. Some have ended up spitting on them and abusing them as well. This is in Delhi. If you get you the second case reported here in Hyderabad, a deceased patient, a patient who passed away, their family attacked the doctors here. And in Mumbai, in the largest slum in Dharavi, certain members of the slum cluster also chased away and attacked police personnel. That's not just it. There's a report that is coming from Indore as well, where the doctors were chased away, and in Bihar, the police were attacked and fired upon. These are breaking inputs. A case now has been registered against 50 to 60 people. This is regarding an ASHA worker, a community health and social worker who are called ASHA workers. An ASHA worker who was attacked upon in Bengaluru while conducting a survey. Now, a case on this attack has been registered against 50 to 60 people. This was filed on basis of the complaint which was put in by the senior health inspector. Our correspondent Neha Hebale is getting us these details. Neha, this is of course a very unfortunate case here wherein people don't realize the importance of an ASHA worker or respect that the work that they're doing out there on the streets. Despite the lockdown, but for the sake of the people, for their well-being. What is the case that has now been registered against 50 or 60 of these people? Is this largely against unknown people, or some have been identified as well?
Well, yes, Seher, an FIR has been registered under 5 sections of the IPC against 50 to 60 unknown persons is what we're picking up. Of these, 3 people have already been secured and are currently being questioned and grilled by the police. Remember, it's imperative to understand that most of these people who had gathered there were local residents of the neighboring areas and people who had gathered after they were given an announcement from the speaker of the mosque. Now, to quickly, go back to what happened yesterday morning, it was when an ASHA worker was carrying out a survey, a door-to-door survey that, they've been mandated to do by the government of Karnataka. They then note down the symptoms that every household, people in every household might have, which and then sent to government. While carrying out the survey, that's when this worker has in fact been gheraued. She's been attacked and also her belongings snatched away from her, her mobile and her bag as well. Following which a complaint was filed by a senior health officer, and now we're understanding that 3 people have been secured and more arrests are likely in this regard.
All right, this is of course strict action taken against those who thought they could attack an ASHA worker and get away with it. Remember, this is important, be it a social worker, a government representative or the police who's out there in your locality, helping you understand why it's important to follow the lockdown. Listen to them. Do not resort to attacking them. That's the worst that you can do as a citizen. Let's switch focus to this case now that's coming in from Muzaffarnagar. 2 sub-inspector and a constable have been seriously injured. Lockdown violators attacked them. This is coming from Uttar Pradesh's Muzaffarnagar. 5 people arrested in this. A case has been registered against the violators. The police team was patrolling the area. This was in Morna village. Spotted a gathering of residents. Asked them to disperse. The villagers were asked to follow the prohibitory orders. But that is when they shockingly resorted to pelting stones at the police personnel, allegedly started attacking officials with iron rods. These are breaking inputs coming in. Action that has been taken, would be taken now. Some have been arrested as well because 2 sub-inspectors and a constable have reported injuries. And this is yet another shameful incident of violence that has been reported. As we said, this is coming from Indore. Tatparti Bakhal. People from this area pelted stones at health workers who were there to screen the people. They were chased away. A case has been registered in this regard as well. Not just in Indore, this is the second case being reported in the other state of Bihar. This is in Munger, where people clashed with the police and the health workers both. This is shameful. Multiple such shameful incidents of violence that are now coming to the fore and people losing their patience in the lockdown. Remember, a lockdown is not a choice. There is no other option here to this. You have to be following guidelines of this lockdown. Our correspondent Sham Sundar from Bihar is getting us further inputs here in this specific case that's coming from Munger, in which the police and health workers were attacked as well. Sham, what action taken against these people?
So certainly the police has booked few people there. Till now there has been no arrest, but certainly it is very unfortunate that the health workers and police are being targeted just for doing the jobs. Now at a time when people need to be more aware, people need themselves should come forward. But here in Munger, when the health workers and the police went to that particular village to take some people who were said to be suspect of COVID-19. All of a sudden, the people started pelting stones. They complained that there was no proper infrastructure at this isolation ward, and that was the reason they said that they would not be going, because there was no proper food, no electricity, and no cleanliness, and that was the reason why they complained that the quarantine centers are not properly maintained. And all of a sudden, people got violent and they started pelting stones. After which the police had to swing into action. And it was only after the police intervened that the matters were brought to peace. The police finally managed to disperse the crowd from there, and then they managed to take all the suspects to the quarantine centers.
All right. So still more action that needs to be taken against them. Remember, there is nothing good about attacking those people who are those workers, police personnel and health workers who are there working for you for your own protection. Sham, thank you for getting us those inputs. Now, this is yet another case. There are a string of such shameful incidents of violence being reported from across cities, pan-India. This next case now is coming in from Hyderabad, where a patient's family, now this was a corona-positive patient succumbing to the virus, the family losing its school and attacking junior doctors. Remember, there are a few other members of this family, 3 others who have tested positive for the virus as well. But 2 of the family members assaulted the doctors in anger, blaming the doctors for the 1 member who succumbed to the coronavirus. We have with us our correspondent Paul getting us further inputs here on this. Paul, what more do we know about this, given that 3 other members of the same family are suffering from the virus? What about action taken against the others who attacked the doctors?
Well, this particular incident happened in Gandhi Hospital late last evening. And it's surprising that at a time when doctors and the medical fraternity is going out of their ways, working overtime to ensure that we are successfully containing the virus, such incidents are coming to light, not only in Gandhi Hospital, but also in Nizamabad and Khammam. We saw ASHA workers and doctors being assaulted by the police and also by the locals there, because they thought they had come for another purpose. So why is it that time and again we are seeing health workers being attacked? This particular case in Gandhi Hospital was where a corona-positive patient succumbed, and his relatives, who are also corona-positive, attacked the doctor at Gandhi Hospital. Immediately, we saw the commissioner of police going to Gandhi as a confidence-building measure, because at a time like this, like I pointed out, the medical fraternity is trying very hard to contain the virus, and they need the support of the police. In fact, they have written a letter to Amit Shah, the Home Minister, and also the DGP has also put out that we will be providing adequate security at such a point of time. It is required that they are given all that they require. We also saw several messages coming in, including that of KTR, the IT Minister, and the son of Chief Minister KTR, saying such people, action will be taken against them, and they will not be left. So it comes as a confidence-building measure that so many people have spoken up. But why is it that time and again such attacks are taking place is something that needs to be thought about.
Right. Absolutely. Something that we need to be asking ourselves as a society as well. There is no place for violence in the midst of this crisis. Paul, thank you for getting us those updates. Yet another violent case that has been reported, and this is from the country's, in fact, the world's largest slum area, Dharavi. Remember, 1 person from the slum cluster reported to have tested positive and succumbed to the coronavirus as well. But while the police personnel there was on duty, patrolling the area, telling people about the guidelines of the lockdown, they were attacked. They were attacked. In this case, 2 people now have been arrested. Let's get you further updates here from the gathering, which has given the maximum number of positive cases here. This is with respect to the Markaz that had taken place here in the national capital. Remember, this was a prayer meet that happened on the 13th to the 15th of March. This was much early in the month of March. But because it had foreign visitors participating in this gathering from the affected countries of Malaysia and Indonesia, there have been several positive cases here reported from the attendees. Multiple cases there reported from across states as well. But the Delhi Police Crime Branch has decided to further act on this, calling this an irresponsible act, an FIR that has been registered by the crime branch. There is a lookout against those members of the Markaz, and this includes the chief as well, who is Maulana Saad. The Delhi police maintains that he's absconding, he's on the run. He himself has, of course, left out a video message there saying that he's not underground. He has put himself on self-quarantine. Our correspondent Mohit is getting us further inputs as far as investigations here on this go. Mohit, in that FIR by the Delhi Police Crime Branch, what all has been mentioned? How is this case being dealt with?
Well, you see, after all the pressure from various quarters, the Delhi police acted against Markaz chief Maulana Saad, and now an FIR has been registered against him. But Markaz and Maulana Saad maintains that he is in self-quarantine, and also
Okay, we're going to be reconnecting with Mohit on that in just a bit. But let's also get you some numbers that have come in here. With over 50 people in the national capital, having banned the gathering. This was a Delhi government circular dated 16th March. Now, it is essentially based on this circular and the date of the circular that the Delhi Police Crime Branch has filed an FIR against the organizers of this Markaz. 1,300 people, which includes some from other countries, as we mentioned as well. Some of these were the affected countries of the COVID virus who had flown in here. Remember, this was early in 13th to 15th March. They were screened at the airport, were not showing symptoms. They were flown in. They entered the national capital here and then attended this Markaz. Social distancing rules that were flouted as well. But more details coming in as far as what the FIR states on how this case is being dealt with. Is this being seen as absolute criminal negligence? What are the sections under which this FIR has been filed? Our correspondent Mohit getting us those inputs. Mohit, you were telling us. Please continue.
Well, you see, it was quite appalling that even after Delhi government coming out again and again, and this was prior to the gathering of Markaz, that no large gathering should be allowed in Delhi. Still, this program and the organizers went ahead with the program, and we saw that a huge gathering happened at the Markaz. Now, on 13th of March, a circular came from the Delhi government, and rather a notification in which it was clearly stated that a gathering of not more than 200 people should be allowed, given the fact that how coronavirus pandemic has grappled the whole world, and people are suffering due to that. But still, the Markaz did not do anything about it. Few days later, another notification came from the Delhi government, and the number of gatherings was still reduced. From 200, it came down to 50 and then to 5. But then Markaz still went forward with all the ceremonies. They went forward with all this congregation. And you see, when Markaz was reached for a comment on this, they said that after lockdown, they were not able to come out. So the Janta curfew was observed on 23rd, and after that, the lockdown happened. But before that, when the Delhi government clearly stated that gathering of not more than 200 people, and after that it was reduced to more than 50 people, not more than 50 people, then why this gathering took place? So this is something that Markaz has to answer, and now an FIR has been registered against him. And according to the police, the Maulana Saad is still absconding, but the Maulana Saad says that he is in contact with the police. So we have to wait and watch when he will be arrested.
All right, Mohit, many thanks for getting us those inputs. This is also keeping in mind of the clarification that has come in from the Markaz as well. But undoubtedly, 16th of March is that Delhi government circular which should have been respected. And across Delhi, there were other gatherings that were seen as well, despite that circular. Thanks for getting us those details. We're slipping into a very tiny break here on Nation Now. Stay on with us, please. Back in just a bit. Thanks for staying on with us here on Nation Now. Let's get you further updates coming in as far as the Markaz case here is concerned. The Delhi Police Crime Branch says that the Markaz chief, Maulana Saad, who arranged this entire prayer meet here, is absconding. He has been named in the FIR for negligence and for also violating the orders of the 16th March of the Delhi government. The Maulana instead has released an audio clip saying that he is in touch with the police authorities. He's not absconding. Instead, he has put himself on quarantine. Take a listen in.
नीज़ डॉक्टरों की हिदायत व इलाज का अहतमाम, हुकूमत व इंतज़ामिया का पूरा साथ देना, मसलन मजमा जमा न करना और इन हालात में हुकूमत और इंतज़ामिया की पूरी मदद करना ज़रूरी है। बंदा अज़ ख़ुद भी दिल्ली में डॉक्टरों की हिदायत के मुताबिक अपने आप को क्वारंटाइन किए हुए है। ये एहतियाती तदाबीर यकीन, तवक्कुल, ईमान बिल्लाह के हरगिज़ ख़िलाफ़ नहीं, इसलिए इन तदाबीर का इख्तियार करना ज़रूरी है। जहाँ जहाँ भी हमारी जमातें हैं वो वहाँ रहते हुए हुकूमत के क़वानीन की पाबंदी ज़रूर करें।
And with a large influx of cases here that continue to come in, here's a word that's coming in from the medical director of one of the hospitals where attendees of this Markaz have been admitted as well who've tested positive. Medical director of LNJP says that they are now facing a shortage of PPE, which is personal protection equipment. They're finding it difficult now to manage the sudden influx of huge number of positive patients that has come in. Remember, this is something that the doctors have mentioned time and again, not just from a big hospital that's coming in from Delhi, but other hospitals in other cities as well. The government, though, continues to maintain here that there are enough PPE protective gear available for the doctors. Many have, of course, complained of substandard protective gear being provided to them as well. As multiple states are continuing with this process of contact tracing those who attended this prayer meet. Remember, a large number of followers from the states of Karnataka, Telangana, Kerala, Bihar had attended this meet. Each of those state governments as a top priority are now doing contact tracing. In Delhi, a total of 29 fresh cases that were reported from Wednesday pertaining to the attendees here. The Delhi Fire Service today also cordoned off the Markaz area with continuing with the disinfectant process on spot.
कहना चाहता हूं कि जो मरकज़ मस्जिद है उसके 53 केसेस उसमें से उसके हैं और दिल्ली के अंदर कल जो आंकड़ा बढ़ा है वो 32 लोगों का आंकड़ा बढ़ा है जिसमें 29 मरकज़ के थे। अभी भी दिल्ली के अंदर हमारे हॉस्पिटल्स में 700 के करीब सभी लोग सस्पेक्ट और कंफर्म केसेस हैं जो 700 के आसपास हैं और आज भी काफ़ी सारे लोगों की रिपोर्ट्स आने वाली हैं, बहुत बड़ी संख्या में रिपोर्ट्स आएंगी तो उसमें लगता है उसमें नंबर बढ़ेगा।
And these are inputs coming in from the other affected state in Karnataka. Bihar district is affected because several attendees from Bihar were part of this prayer meet, out of which 11 have tested positive. Our correspondent Neha Hebale is getting us those inputs.
The Tablighi Jamaat congregation that was held in Nizamuddin in Delhi has become a cause of alarm for people across the country. In Karnataka too, 1,500 names have been received by the health department and the state government from the centre about people who might have attended this congregation. 800 of these people have already been identified and screened, and about 150 swabs have been collected and also sent for testing. Now, people have been urged by the state government and the health department to come forward voluntarily on their own if they have attended this congregation in order to ensure that all safety protocol is followed. The easiest way to do this is by calling the 104 helpline if you or somebody you know had in fact attended this congregation. Well, let us help in fueling these efforts of the government and fighting this virus together, and let us be responsible. In Bengaluru, this is Neha Hebale for Mirror Now.
This is news that's coming in on a positive note. The BMC has released a video of a patient who was first identified as the first case of coronavirus in Mumbai. His health had slipped twice. He was put on the ventilator twice, but now he is recovered. In this video, he is seen applauding the doctors of the hospital at Kasturba Hospital here. Take a look.
I am here with who's had a very interesting journey. He is our first patient with COVID positive. The best part of his story is that he has been on the ventilator twice in this journey and he has come out. Today is the day that he is going home. We have been lucky in the way he responded to the treatment. I'm going to ask you a few quick words.
Like my response is, I got positive and then I admitted to Kasturba. even my treatment was going well there, but my health got deteriorated and I was having a respiratory problem. Then the Kasturba doctors and Jaslok doctors decided mutually and then informed that I have to be transferred to Jaslok, and then Jaslok Hospital and the infectious department took care of my life, that they gave me a second birth, I can say, because I was on 20th of March when I came over here. I was kind of having no hopes of further life, but the treatment which I got at Jaslok, the treatment which I got at Kasturba, it was very good. All the agencies are responding, but Jaslok treated me very well, and then they gave me a second birth like my mother. Thank you.
Let's get you other inputs now coming in. Now, this is an ugly court case, which of course finally needs to be decided upon. This is a scenario where the Karnataka government has sealed its state borders and disallowed Kerala from transporting any of their serious COVID-19 positive cases to Karnataka if need be as an emergency. The borders have been sealed. This is not being allowed. So this is a case that has now reached court as well. Many, of course, have spoken out against the stand that has been taken by the Karnataka state government, because remember, we're looking at a humanitarian crisis never before seen in the world, in the country at this scale. Former Karnataka Chief Minister Devi Gowda has condemned the action of the Karnataka government here as well, saying that he will now write to the Prime Minister seeking his intervention. Remember, the lockdown as per the central government with state borders being sealed. Could this be resolved with the intervention of the central government? This is a case which has already reached court. What is the status on that? We have with us our correspondent Srija getting us further input. Srija, we've seen some very ugly arguments that have been put forth by the Karnataka government in justifying that this is a lockdown that needs to be followed in protecting people of its own state. But at the end of the day, this is a measure that should be taken with respect to patients in requirement of an emergency crisis.
Well, that's exactly what the Kerala High Court did state, and which is exactly the reason why we understand it was forced, and especially the Kerala High Court was forced to pass an order only after where the centre and also Karnataka government could not arrive at an amicable solution. Now, even now, we continue to see where the borders, especially in Kasaragod, in Kerala and as well as Karnataka, it's been completely blocked by the Karnataka police. And we also hear from the police, the Mangaluru police, by saying that there will only be emergency movements, including essentials and also especially only to do with private vehicles of the paramedics and healthcare professionals will only be allowed to move, especially in Mangaluru district. Now, this is the order which is coming in from Commissioner of City Police Commissioner of Mangaluru. But the update that we continue to get here for our viewers is that the border is still not open for especially the patients to be transported from Kasaragod district in Kerala to Karnataka. Now, one major important point to be noted here is in a day, that is at least about 50 patients are moved all the way from Kasaragod to Mangaluru district, their nearby hospitals, but only because of the delayed medical assistance. So far, we understand nearly 6 people have lost their lives.
That coming in on a very grim note there, Srija, hoping that this could be resolved soon. Many thanks for getting us those inputs. More updates coming in regarding the Markaz case and the Delhi Police Crime Branch, which is now pursuing this case here. Delhi Police Crime Branch having sent notices to all the 7 accused in this case. Remember, there are 7 accused in this Markaz case, including the organizers and the chief of the Markaz, Maulana Saad. It's important to note here that all of these 7 who've been named in the FIR, they are in quarantine. As are the other attendees across the country, as we see, and they cannot be arrested or asked to appear in court right now. We have with us our correspondent Alok getting us those inputs here. Alok, given the fact that this is 14 days of quarantine that we're looking at for all of those accused, how does this case move ahead further before 14 days?
Well, definitely that the Delhi police need to, in fact, wait for them so that this time period could be ended. But they have sent the notices to all 7 persons to join the probe, but not in person that they have to join the probe. They have to give them the reply in the written form. And in fact, they have asked them that why they have not followed the orders of the lockdown. They have also asked that to tell them and corroborate the whole sequence of events. And in fact, they have also, the Delhi Police Crime Branch have also asked the details of the people who came there between the time period of 1st of March and 24th of March. Remember, thousands of people, more than 2,000 of people were present at the building when the lockdown was ordered. And in fact, 2,300 persons were taken out from inside the building. So large gathering was there. And because they had flouted the norms of the lockdown, that is why the Delhi police registered the case. As of now, all those 7 persons who are named in the FIR, they are quarantined. So definitely the Delhi police need to wait.
That's right. Alok, given the fact that some of these are abscondings, particularly as far as the main accused, the Chief Maulana in this case here goes, his whereabouts are not known. But given the fact that they're under quarantine, they should understand at this given point that medical staff needs to have access to them to be testing them. They are avoiding testing at this given point as well.
Well, if we talk about their quarantine process, in fact, Maulana's audio has surfaced today in the morning, and in which he has said that he has gone for self-quarantine on the advice of the doctors. Definitely, he must have consulted with the doctors, might have also given the sample of his body so that the coronavirus effect could be detected. But others, we have not got the information about the others, but the Delhi police have sent the notices at the residence of these all 7 persons, and they have given them the time period to reply on that. We hope that they will reply, but it will be very difficult for them, for the police also to nab them as of now, because of the quarantine process is going on. And remember, in the building, out of 2,300 persons, already 108 persons have found to be positive. Delhi government has today declared that out of those who were in fact taken to the hospital, 108 have been found out to be positive. So definitely the scare for the officers, for the Delhi police officers who are investigating the case, that is also there, and this is the reason they are taking precautionary measures.
Alok, many thanks for getting us those inputs out there at Nizamuddin, getting us ground inputs. Please stay safe and take your precautionary measures there as well. Many thanks. We're getting in more details as far as the urgent requirement of safety gear, protective gear, PPEs for medical professionals is concerned in the country. The Indian Railways now has issued orders to all zones of the Indian Railways. This is, remember, going to cater to a pan-India area concerning the outreach of the railways here. To all zones to manufacture PPEs for medical professionals. Railways production and maintenance workshops will be utilized for the production of these suits. The Railway Ministry has decided now to create over 3 lakh isolation wards by mid-April. Some early images of these isolation wards of the railway coach that have already been made, and we have seen shots of those and how these isolation wards would be used by the railways here in case of an emergency. According to fresh orders that have been issued by the railways, the ministry is also all set to transform 20,000 coaches into isolation wards. But the first question is, as far as the manufacturing of PPE and other protective gear is concerned. Our correspondent Mohit is getting us those inputs here. Mohit, the expertise regarding this also needs to be taken into account. There are other brands, other medical brands which have been involved in the production of PPEs. This is technical ground that we're looking at, and can the Indian Railways manage it?
Indian Railways for that matter, has already issued orders. And with regards to these orders, the PPEs, what we're given to understand, would be manufactured at a rate of 20 minutes per PPE suit would be created. So that's an exceptional rate at which such orders have been passed on. Now the Railways plans to almost increase the production of the PPE suits to about 25,000 on a daily basis, and that is something that is very exponentially very high as a number of PPE suit production. Now at the same time, what's also interesting is the fact that the isolation wards, which are being converted from a basic railway coach into isolation wards, is something that is also happening at a very high speed at this particular point. Initially, it was decided that only 5,000 odd coaches would be converted, but since then, fresh orders have been given out, which specifically talk of how 20,000 coaches would now be converted into isolation wards. So basically, the railways would be catering to almost people between 3 lakh to 3,20,000. So that's enormously high as a number. At the same time, the mobility of these things would be also something which would become an X factor, given the fact that railways would have a mechanism to shift these isolation wards as per the needs of various states. Now, once again, the PPEs that would be produced by the railways would be done by various zones. And given the fact that railways has offices and operational units across the country, it would essentially ensure that all medical professionals would have a proper suit, proper gear to deal with this pandemic. Back to you.
All right. Undoubtedly, this is going to be extremely useful at the time of an emergency. This is literally isolation wards on wheels that we're looking at that could reach interior areas of the country here as well. Mohit, thank you for getting us those inputs. Let's get you details that now we're getting in from the state of Tamil Nadu, which has seen a huge spike in the total number of cases. So far, the cases reported total positive in the state of Tamil Nadu are 234, out of which 190 cases that have been reported in just the past 3 days. Despite the sudden increase here, there are certain areas in Tamil Nadu where people are not respecting the guidelines of the lockdown. There have been areas where people have been seen flouting the advisory, and our correspondent Pramod is getting us those details here.
Well, the Corona cop strikes again. This time he's having more items in his hand. He's carrying a club and also a shield that designed to look like the coronavirus. And in a jam-packed market, he's actually trying to enforce social distancing. He's trying to tell the people that they have to actually maintain distance. And here you could see that even though the vendors are maintaining the social distance, public unfortunately are not actually listening to them. And that's the reason over here he's standing over there carrying a shield and a club and also wearing the Corona helmet. He's just walking around the market trying to enforce social distancing. This is some kind of effort that is being carried forward by the Tamil Nadu police to enforce social distancing. With camera person Vijay Shekhar, Pramod Madhav for Mirror Now.
That's a very creative effort by the police, but the people need to take this far more seriously. This is at yet another crowded marketplace in Chennai, in Villivakam marketplace here, which was seen to be crowding up by people who stepped out to buy essentials. Social distancing norms were not being followed either.
Main reason to make sure that the public are maintaining social distancing, a minimum of 3 feet. But unfortunately, even though the authorities are trying various angles to enforce social distancing on the ground, it's very difficult to find it because even in one such area, this is a market at Villivakam, and you could see that there's such a huge crowd at this point right now. This is what the people are supposed to avoid. The general public has been constantly requested not to come together, not to be in such a huge place, because this is one major mode of transmission, and that's the reason they've been asked to stay away. However, the vendors have been given space to make sure they sit with a space of at least 1 meter, and the vendors here you could see are in sitting in such a position. Yet the public are not unfortunately doesn't seem to be educated about social distancing, and that's what you could see behind us. Such a large crowd happening over here. Unfortunately, we don't see any kind of cop to enforce it. There was a speaker which was trying to give information as to what to be done, but behind us you don't see that being followed. People are still in larger crowd, walking through narrow roads, and the authorities, maybe this is the first time they're trying to enforce lockdown in such a large manner, and that's the reason they seem to be struggling as well. But unfortunately, in many areas across Chennai and Tamil Nadu, especially in markets, they are finding it extremely difficult to enforce social distancing. With camera person Vijay, Pramod Madhav for Mirror Now.
Our correspondent Pramod there is getting us yet another update, and this is with respect to what we just spoke about a short while back in the Indian Railways now preparing to convert our railway coaches to isolation wards. Remember, this is going to be isolation wards on wheels. Wherever required, could be taken across the country here. And in Chennai, preparations for that have already started.
To combat corona seems to be the only priority for the entire nation, and everybody is doing their part. Whatever part they can do, they're actually working on it, and that's what you could see at one of the carriages at Perambur over here. As we speak, people are trying to work at this point. They are removing the equipment. You could see over there, berths are being removed. This one particular coach is going to be converted into a kind of a ward where 9 separate cabins will be allotted, of which 1 cabin will be for storing medical equipments, and other 8 cabins will be used to keep patients in isolation. COVID-19 positive suspected patients can also be placed over here, and each and every cabin will be carrying its own cylinders, and all equipments will be placed. As you could see over here, all these berths are being completely removed. That's the work that's happening right now. They are removing these kind of berths to make it possible for this entire thing to be converted into 1 cabin. 1 patient will be placed over here. This will also have a 230-watt charger in it, with which you can use use all these medical equipments. Especially, they are trying to make sure that ventilators should also work in this situation. In Perambur carriage alone, right now, works has been initiated to convert such coaches, close to 53 such coaches, into that manner, and that's the work behind that is happening in a fully efficient manner behind us. This is one such area where people are come forward to make sure that they could also play their part to combat corona. With camera person Vijay Shekhar, Pramod Madhav for Mirror Now.
And on a good note, the online social media popular platform TikTok has decided to donate 100 crores towards medical equipment in India. Remember, TikTok being a very popular platform, in fact, does have a one of the maximum number of users in India. So they've decided to give in 100 crore rupees, and this is crucial. This is going to be for medical equipment in India, announcing this decision to donate 4 lakh hazmat medical protective suits, 2 lakh masks to protect doctors and medical practitioners in the front line of this battle. In a statement that has now been released by TikTok, let's in fact read out that official statement, and this is what it says, and I quote: "While citizens are practicing social distancing, staying at home as a preventative measure, India's medical personnel who are working tirelessly to keep all of us safe and protected. Our medical doctors, health workers, most vulnerable, exposed to the virus, and at times of these, their safety is of utmost priority." Keeping this in mind, TikTok is donating 4 lakh hazmat medical protective suits and masks, an important safety measure. Additionally, the contribution also covers local state-level medical workers have donated 200,000, which is 2 lakh masks to the Delhi and Maharashtra government, end of quote. Now, this is important to note, coming in at a time where our officials, government official figures already show that 50 of our doctors and medical practitioners have now tested positive across the country. Well, each one of us who have a lot of free time at home are not far too busy as far as work from home is concerned, but also those who've kept a regular fitness schedule in going to the gym or going out for a walk or going out for a jog. All of that, of course, is not possible. There's only as much that you can do at home. But that's incorrect. There's much more that you can do at home in keeping up with your fitness regime. Here are some of the tips which has been brought by our fitness expert here. Let's take a look.
Only exhaling and you're not making any effort for inhalation. And last but not the least, after Kapalbhati, wait and try to experience that silence, there won't be any, try to experience the silence of no breathing. There won't be any breathing. So let's start. Inhale. Remember, your facial muscles are relaxed completely and there is no engagement of your throat muscles. Ideally, you can start at whatever capacity you are at, and you can start building up on that. Generally, it is said 100 to 120 is a regular count in 1 minute. So see how do you feel and start building up on that.
Okay, that's fairly simple. I think I can do that right away. It's a wrap on the show. Thanks for being with us.